We are back from Branson. We had an excellent time. I'm on the train ride, and we're overlooking these beautiful valleys and some of these hills, and we're traveling across the lake, and you see people boating. And so I'm on this train enjoying myself, and my mind starts to wander. And I started to think about all the movies I've seen with planes and trains and automobiles. And one movie pops into my head. Well, it's not exactly PG, but it is. You can watch films on a thing. I have a VidAngel program on my Fire Stick with Amazon, and I download VidAngel. I can watch films, and it bleeps out all the bad language. So, if you're Christian, you need to live a holy life, and it's important that you put good things in your mind. Good things in, good things come out. So when you squeeze a Christian, goodness should come out. So if you took an orange and you squeezed it and apple juice came out, that wouldn't be a good thing. So when you squeeze a Christian, fruit of the Spirit should come out. And so we all need to be careful when we watch films. I like to keep it PG-13. There's a lot of good films, pure flicks. That's good. That's a good channel to watch. There's a lot of good Christian entertainment. I just went and saw Sound of Freedom. I love anything with, what was the guy named? Jim Caviezel, the guy that played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. He was in it. There is a lot of good Christian entertainment there. I have to remind myself, and my family will remind me, because I like to watch war movies. And I like to watch action movies. And I like to watch, James Bond and things like that. So, but be careful. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful what you put into your mind. So I've tried to get better about that as I've gone along. And VidAngel's great. PureFlix is a great option. And there are a lot of awesome Christian films out there today that you can watch. And if you're going to watch a film, keep it PG. This particular film that I'm thinking about, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the only thing really bad about it is there's one scene when Steve Martin just drops all these F-bombs. And so you might want to keep that in mind before you watch the movie. But I kept thinking about planes, trains, and automobiles. And I got this article from the Imaginative Conservative. It's an article by Stephen M. Klutchwich. And the category is Thanksgiving movies, and it's a select kind of variety of movie, but it's not meant as a faint praise to crown John Hughes. And if you know who John Hughes is, he made Pretty in Pink, and he did The Breakfast Club, and I found myself as I'm getting older, I like the older films. I like John Wayne, and I still watch Lonesome Dove, and I think I'm becoming more and more like my grandparents, watching these older films, because they're just a little bit morally better, There are some good modern films, but they just seem a little bit morally better to me. And let me slow this down a little bit. And so it's a Thanksgiving film. And on the surface, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is this carefree comedy. But it's a movie that has a very subtle Christian message, and it gets revealed as you watch the film. So if you just bear with me, it makes you think about how we treat other people. The movie tells the story of Neil Page, who's played by Steve Martin, a middle-aged, well-to-do advertising executive who's trying to get home from New York. You ever seen Home Alone? John Hughes made that movie too. He's trying to get home from New York to spend Thanksgiving with his family. in John Hughes style at his home in upscale Chicago suburb. His journey quickly becomes a nightmare when he meets Dale Griffith, played by John Candy. You gotta love Candy. I'm kind of a big guy. I like John Candy. He's a boorish, traveling shower curtain ring salesman who attempts to befriend the self-centered Paige. Griffith first inadvertently steals Paige's taxi, then ends up seated next to him on a plane that is grounded by a snowstorm, and the next proceeds this bumble. So, just to stop things for a minute. You know, have you ever met anyone that kind of rubbed you the wrong way, or maybe there's that guy at church or in your community you don't exactly want to be seen in public with? Well, can I just tell you that you probably need love on that person? That guy you don't want to be seen in public with, that guy you're having problems with, that guy maybe that you see things in that person. That person needs love. So we have to see people, you see, the way God sees them. So they're living souls. Every human being out there is a living soul. God has placed eternity in their hearts. And they are living souls. They're God's creation, made in God's image. We human beings are made in God's image. So keep that in mind when there's all kinds of different personality types, and even folks in the church, we have some people rub people the wrong way, and well, these are relational issues that we have to work through. Well, anyway, as you're watching this film, it makes you think about those things, and so Paige gets home, variously by truck, train, and automobile. Hence the title, Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I'm a truck person, so I like trucks. So the interplay between the Martin and the gregarious, rotund Candy makes for some hilarious and unforgettable scenes. Paige and Griffith are forced to share a hotel bed together. Awkward. And wake up to find that they are cuddling each other in their sleep, dreaming of their wives. Uh-oh. Those aren't pillows. Griffith mistakenly drives the wrong way down the highway, dismissing two motorists. And these motorists, I recently rewatched the movie, these motorists are shouting at them, "You're going the wrong way." They get turned around and they're going the wrong way on the interstate. Not a good idea. It's a good way to die. So, "You're going the wrong way. How do you know we're going? How do you know where we're going?" Griffith's carelessness results in the pair's rental car going up in flames. Yet Griffith, this just doesn't shake him. And so he pilots the skeletal vehicle after it's burned to cinders down the interstate, his hand stuck to the steering wheel, telling the police officer, "Oh, it's okay. It's safe for highway travel." Anyway, there are all these great, hilarious scenes. And so, but beneath all the hijinks of this film, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, lurks this message of charity and redemption. Paige is intent on getting back to his family, and obviously, the fact that Griffith does not seem to be going anywhere, in particular Thanksgiving time, is kind of strange. As Paige begins to think about that. There are subtle hints sprinkled throughout the film that something is awry in Dale Griffith's life, the character played by John Candy. He's lugging around this large trunk. And though he mentions his wife, Marie, more than once and places a framed picture of her next to his bed at the hotel, he never checks in with her and never calls her. As Paige does several times with his wife, played by Steve Martin, he calls his wife. But So we're trying to figure this out. He's trying to figure this out. It's something going wrong with this guy. But it's his interaction with this working class Griffith that Paige inner nature is revealed. People rub you the wrong way. Sometimes things come out irritable. Get irritable. If I had a guy, that was snoring next to me in a plane and making all these noises when I'm trying to sleep, it drives you nuts. So early on, when sharing a hotel room with the Sloven Griffith, Paige is driven to his wit's end, and he explodes. And he says, "When you were telling these stories, here's an idea, have a point." So it makes it so much more interesting for the listener. And the first indication that the movie is deeper than your typical slapstick comedy. We're talking about human relationships, and we're talking about socioeconomic differences, and people from different backgrounds, and people that have different habits and nomenclatures and different cultures, and how sometimes we rub each other the wrong way. And boy, this film really gets into the middle of that. And I like to talk about these things. I like to think about these things and think about what makes people tick and what are the things that rub people the wrong way. Well, Griffith is brought nearly to tears about Paige's words. "Yeah, you're right. I talk too much, but I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get." That's John Candy. Gotta love John Candy. The key to the success of this film is the refusal of the writer-director Hughes, the genius of John Hughes, to make a cardboard character out of Griffith and Paige, but they're not. The shower curtain ring salesman, despite his boorishness, and he's aware that he is a blabbermouth who can annoy others. Paige is also not one-dimensional, character played by Steve Martin. He is an everyman in his understandable desire to avoid the overbearing Griffith, yet his face shows the regret he feels when he realizes he has deeply wounded Griffith in the hotel room scene described above. So there's this point in the film where they really have it out at each other, and you could tell, Paige, Steve Martin feels bad about what he said. He just kind of blows up at him. After they part ways in Chicago at the train platform, Paige, who already realizes that Griffith has made him a little wiser, has time to recall. He's on the train, he's on the subway, he's headed home, and he just sort of thinks about all the fun they'd had and how crazy it was. And he just starts to laugh and about how crazy things got. And in doing so, it finally dawns on Paige that Griffith doesn't have a home. Hurrying back to the station where he left, the traveling salesman Paige finds Griffith sitting alone on the bench. "You said you were going home. What are you doing here?" Griffith replies, I don't have a home, Neil. Marie's been dead for 8 years." In the movie's final scene, Paige and Griffith each holding an end of the trunk, which is it's kind of clear that it symbolizes the pain of loss that Griffith silently bears. Walking up to Paige's home. "I won't stay long," Griffith offers. Maybe I'll just say hi and just be on my way." "Just come on," is Paige's reply. Paige's act of charity and bringing Griffith to his home for Thanksgiving brings a heartwarming and unexpected conclusion to planes, trains, and automobiles. A light-hearted romp at first blush. At bottom, it tells a story of how the example of simple goodness can be transformational. Page is much like Mel Gibson's Simon of Cyrene in The Passion of the Christ. A man compelled to help a man he finds revolting, but who, by the very act of helping that man, comes to care about him. Genuinely intent on helping a complete stranger get home to his loved ones. Dale Griffith, shower curtain ring salesman, does much more than that. Saves a soul. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. So, you ever feel like that in your own life? Is there anyone in your life that maybe you go to church with, maybe you're a person in your community and you don't like to hang out with them, or they're just different? You know, Jesus said something really important. He basically says, what good is it to love people who are like yourself? That's easy. It's easy to love people who are just like you. No, the real challenge is, the real times that we're being Christ-like are the times that we're loving others who are not like us. The times that we're loving others, people that are different, people that come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, people of different races, people of different colors, people from all over the neighborhood, all over the socioeconomic status. I love a sermon that my pastor preached when he talked about how the veil was torn when Jesus was crucified. When that veil was torn, there were racial barriers that were torn down. To this day, Jesus tore those barriers down, so Gentiles can come to Jesus. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, there's a place for you at the table where you can come to Jesus.